Hey everybody, welcome to a Clicked Off live stream, live podcast for the Auxxit and Lucky Dice live auction for this evening. Pretty exciting, new format for all of this, and pretty cool. Thing here. So the Auxxit link is on the Realms Open Championship page. You have about an hour and a half to get signed up before the live event. I will pull that up real quick on Facebook. And so everyone can see it's on Realms Open Championship. All of the links and room to follow. So I am watching in the room for any questions, and I'm watching the YouTube comments for any questions as well. I'm going to talk about a couple things here for the next hour or so. So there is the information on where to join. So join Auxxit. It's an app that you download on your phone. Pretty cool. Lots of Justice League Unlimited. So Justice League Unlimited finally launched today, thanks to all the delays from quarantine and the Rona. So we opened up, Sam and I opened up our 2 cases a little bit ago, and just the Greedle Juice, it is just the app on your phone. So interacting there with that, it's pretty cool. 5 people in the room. Feel free to ask questions away as you're looking in the room. I got 2 people watching online. So Justice League Unlimited released today. Sam and I got 2 cases. Would have preferred a Brainiac, but I got a Gorilla Grodd in each case and a Prime Parasite in each case. A Atom in each case, a Darkseid. So I got some really great super rares, really great chases. Grodd's a fantastic chase. Then I did get the Crimson Avenger Prime, which, given how good Batman Prime is and Micron is, Crimson Avenger makes a pretty hard sell for taking up the Prime slot, but lots of cool things. All of the units are up. I've been playing a lot of online lately, so you got some of the team builds I was going against on here. But let's talk a little bit about Justice League Unlimited. Kind of talk about the primes to start out with for the first part of the show. Now the question becomes, what's the best Prime in the set? Is it Batman Prime, or is it the Super Rare Prime Micron? So hard to say which, but Batman can shoot across the map, right? I think Batman requires a little bit of augmentation or a team kind of built around him to be good. You got to have the influence ring to knock him back, or exospecs to give him some of the granted powers. The Widow chases, the Widow shifting Widows make it a little hard where you can't shoot him. So I think, Batman Prime is absolutely busted. But I think if you were to ask me right now, after seeing some of this stuff on play, I might be looking at Micron being the best Prime from the set. Just because Micron is just absolutely usable on any team as a Prime slot. So you'll be able to make Micron tiny. You can place Micron adjacent to that character, another character after they move, or given a power action. So, it's pretty cool. He's just really offensive, really support with his empower and his enhancement. And he has a colossal retaliation. So I like Micron just from his offensive capabilities on any team necessarily, especially on your Alpha Strike team with things like with things like Medusa and Duke Thomas and some of these teams that really get up in your face. So I think that makes him really useful. Like if we were to just pull up Duke Thomas, right? So Duke from Rebirth, friendly characters making close attacks modify attack +1 for each other friendly character adjacent to the target. So it's not hard to get 3 adjacent. So a combination of Micron and Duke, you're going 13 attack, 14 attack, close combat expert, 5 damage. That's pretty sweet for something that just voops over potentially from all the way across the map. So that's I like it. I like it quite a bit. I like the value that Micron adds to any team. Now, we talked about Crimson Avenger. I pulled him. I think he's a little bit more niche. But if you have multiple teams that are giving out multiple action tokens, kind of some of the Injustice League characters, he unfortunately doesn't theme with the Injustice League characters, but in a team that's designed to give out action tokens, his is regardless of points. So I think he can certainly voop in, give somebody an action token, and he might die the next turn after that, but he should be able to give you enough tempo control to survive a turn and get some attacks in. So I like that quite a bit. So yeah, pretty exciting. Crimson Avenger I think is just 3rd in the set. And then unfortunately the guy I pulled in each of my cases, the Prime Parasite, his ability to get like super good stats after he heals is fantastic. I think maybe if this guy had the Soul Gem on him, so to where he can heal once and then start healing off of the ranged attacks, and then start healing, even more, right? So when he uses Steel Energy, he heals 1 click instead of 1 click for each special power and 1 click for each 2 standard power on a hit target style before they take damage. But I think again he kind of falls into the Batman trap where you have to build a team that's kind of specifically positioned around him, and you have to use something like a Soul Gem to where he can heal off some of those ranged attacks. But if he gets into position, there's a good chance that he can heal pretty quickly. I think 2 clicks is as most as he can heal. Well, I guess if you have a character that has a special power in each slot, he gets to heal 4 clicks. So, but I don't know if there's any really characters that have that many special powers, especially with Chase Black Widow being played. But there's a possibility if the meta ever changes to allowing special powers back on the dial, with Chase Widow being a thing. So So that's my take on the primes for this set now that it's officially out and I've had some more time to play. The super rares, we pulled some good super rares in our 2 cases today. I did not get a stripe that I wanted. I'm super sad that I'm going to have to trade for him. But I think I want 2 stripes. I did get 2 Star Girls. I've got a few Atoms now. Atom has the same deal as Micron, but he's a little bit more supportive with the Perplex Outwit. But he pairs in really well with Micron and being able to Voop over. If you use one action to Voop over and you play 2 Atoms and a Micron and a Duke, you got pretty dang good stats going on there. You get them adjacent, maybe get some objects, get that Empower from Micron. You're 10 for 3, you've got a Perplex. You're going to be 13 for 4 with the Perplex and the Empower from Micron. If you can get an object picked up at some point, you're 10 for 5 when you Voop over. So it's a pretty potent piece. And he's got a 19 defense, tiny, stealth, super senses. For 40 points, it's a really hard package to beat. Now, did Duke? I don't think Duke has Empower too. Let's see. Duke does have Empower, so you got 2 Empowers. So you're pretty much maxing out. So you're +2 damage between Micron and Duke, and then your Perplexes and stuff gets you +3 damage, and then +3 attack pretty quickly. So it's a pretty phenomenal Alpha Strike team, and you've got things like Medusa that can get across the. They can also pop out a hair, right? They're going to be a 14 for 6 potentially, or at least 14 for 5 with the 2 Empowers. And for all of those actions after carry, you're looking at a lot of attacks for a lot of damage afterwards. So, all right, let me take a minute here, see if we got any questions or anything in the app. Let me ask here, any questions for the live stream? So y'all should be hopping into the app right now, checking out the live stream. I also got the live stream on the YouTube questions, so taking YouTube questions. So yeah, pretty excited. Let's see if we can take a look at all the things that have been added to the store today. Pull up Howard's post here. HeroClix Cafe, which we're talking about. Preview during the podcast at 5 a.m. and the auction for the first 10 will begin at 6. Auctions will last 10 to 15 minutes. 10 new items will be up at 6:20 and 10 more every 20 minutes afterwards for 90 total items. So if we just look in the HeroClix Cafe, go to shop. All right, so we got all kinds of cool stuff. Let me see if I can screen share to my MacBook real quick. I should be able to. Maybe not. No. Oh well. But so the Auxxit app, they have all kinds of stuff in here. All of the uncommons. They got a cool the question. May not like the question as an uncommon. Lots and lots of cool stuff coming up for sale. Howard looks like he unboxed quite a bit of stuff, so all the uncommons are up right now for purchase. The live items are coming up soon. So pretty cool stuff coming up. Let's take a little bit more. Let's take a look at the team I've been playing online. So I've been playing in the Heroes Showdown, the Heroes Throwdown, and currently I won my game last night. So that puts me into the top 16 or top 8, I think. Puts me into the top 16. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, top 8. Yeah, top 16. So I've got a 2-1 in my pod with this team. And I went 2-1. And then I won last night against McConnell Lamar. McConnell played a phenomenal X-Men team. I streamed this on the Clickstuff YouTube page as well. So I want to give some big shout out to McConnell for playing this team. It was 3 Dark Phoenixes, Cable with 2 of his clones, Prime Storm, Beast, so the +2 Perplex, Fast Forces Jubilee, and then the Rubble map bonus, which let's take a look at that map real quick. That was Earth X map bonus, which I really liked for his team. Earth X. Where would Earth X be? Earth X. It was New York Harbor Rubble map bonus. So anytime you're adjacent to one of these orange colored squares, a 3 through a 4 gets you a light, and a 5 and a 6 gets you a heavy placed adjacent. So I think kind of the idea there is his cables were able to free TK a lot of objects. But I think in practice against my team that I was playing, he didn't want to get too aggressive with his clones or any part of his team that had a main force or points to be scored. And I've had some pretty terrible dice rolls. Luckily, my team generates quite a few attacks, so I was able to attack pretty much every turn. But this was a phenomenal team. It expanded his starting area because the Dark Phoenixes go up in the top here. That allowed his team to start up on this elevation here, which lets it be hidden a little bit on this map, because you have to be able to get up to the second elevation and shoot over it, because you are stopped by this first little row of elevation here, which was pretty dang awesome in practice. It was a real squeaker. I only won 75 to 62. So that was one of the few teams that is able to steal objects. He's able to run out a cable and then free TK an object with the +2 perplex onto movement from Beast. So, that turned out to be a pretty hard thing for me to deal with. I lost my Exospecs turn 1. He could have taken my spin ring too, but he opted to equip. And luckily he didn't take my spin ring, because it was just the right amount of a mobility that I needed to keep my team in the game and keep things getting thrown at him. So it was a nail biter. Luckily he missed the final attack on my Isaac to KO it. After hitting nearly every attack in the game. We both spent all of our theme team probs. I had a bunch of printed probs. I lost Steve Rogers. I killed his beast and his prime storm. I think if I had any suggestions for tweaks on that team, because this team is really phenomenal. He was playing the Liar Ring, the Liar, and then the Incandescent Ring. So it had a 10 range mind control, and then he gave one of the clones the Incandescent Ring. If I can spell tonight, Incandescence. So it was penetrating energy explosion. He wasn't able to get both of them equipped in the first turn. So I think realistically, like if you were to play that team again, you probably just drop the Incandescent Ring and Storm, and play another Dark Phoenix, or maybe another one of the Fast Forces X-Men here. Let's take a look and see, because you're looking at about 25 points. I think maybe you have some flex points from Jubilee, but she allows her Colossals, or pretty much her whole team, to have shape change against Giants or Colossals, which can be really good when fighting other Colossal Retaliators. Well, let's take a look about maybe something we could put in there for 50 points. I think really another Dark Phoenix fits well. His team didn't have leadership, but even at 50 points, the Cyclops Sentinel could add that and give him a little bit more oomph against blocking terrain. I like that quite a bit. But his team did need leadership. There was often times that he needed to take 4 actions and just wasn't able to do it. Excuse me. But I did like the Fast Forces Jubilee. This is one of the other Fast Forces. See, the combat reflexes is just not quite good enough because they'll be shooting you. Rogue says you can use toughness. If the beast had perplex, I could see playing this beast over the main set beast, because it gives out super senses, but he doesn't have perplex top dial, unfortunately. The Storm uses mystics, but that can only serve to probably just get you retaliated on. Gambit uses prob, which that's probably not really reliable enough. So Jubilee's the best fit probably out of all of the Fast Forces characters. So I really like McConnell's team and the map that he chose. It worked out. It worked out really well. Of course, my team I've talked about on the podcast: Isaac, Steve Rogers, Captain Marvel, Ultra Chase, Thor, Spin Ring, Exospecs, and the Iron Avengers map bonus. That worked out really well. I have not been able to bring anybody back but Captain Marvel with his trait. And McConnell last night was the first one to ever activate Living Legends and kill Living Legends, Steve Rogers. So I did bring out Ultra Chase Peggy in that matchup. My Pogs were a little bit of a liability against the Dark Phoenixes, but they were also the best way to not continually get retowed on. We got a couple of questions in the live stream. Greedle Juice asked how were the unboxing of Justice League. I talked a little bit about it earlier. Gorilla Grodd and Parasite Prime and Crimson Avenger between the two cases. So I got Grodd, Parasite, and then the second case I got Grodd, Parasite, Crimson Avengers. I was excited. Grodd's a really good chase, so I'm obviously after Brainiac. I'm not even sure that Brainiac is completely playable right now, but I do love Brainiac as a character. I played the Skull Ship team a few years ago, and played Brainiac as a possessor from Superman Wonder Woman, so really enjoyed the character in clicks and really have enjoyed just playing him in general. So I was hoping for a Brainiac, didn't get a Brainiac. Um, Coed Gould asks, what is the most restrictive map to the Black Widow double Marvel team? So you've got to be careful on this one because a restrictive map can allow them to make their approach. And you don't really want them to make an approach too safely, depending on how your team's set up, right? So it's always this balance of being able to get your team into the fray versus being able to get at their team, right, or keep their team from getting to you. So far, I've liked the Stark Tower map. Stark Tower has been able to make the Pogs, get me some extra attackers out there to try to put some damage onto the team, and just generally kind of control the flow of the map. If you look at that map from end to end, there's only so many lanes of traffic on that map. So that makes it to where you can control which way they go, and then as you see them moving up, their movement's only so great, so you can anticipate which way they're going to go. That makes something like, I think Barrier is pretty much indispensable to be played right now. Whether that's a Jason Pog using Isaac or Isaac himself, or just any number of characters that have printed Barrier, Ace, Maria Hill. If you're not going to play the double Captain Marvel Chase Widow team, I think you've got to make sure that you include Barrier. So, the theme on that's not too high, so you should be able to beat that team for a map. Use your Barrier, use Stark Tower. Even something like Ancient Hold is good. I've posted a few videos about Ancient Hold, but you've got to be sure that Ancient Hold is just not a blanket answer. Ancient Hold has got to be an answer where you're able to get in and do work with the team. You have to be able to maneuver your team around the map effectively and get in there and do damage to that team. That team soaks up a lot of damage. So just ask if there's any other questions. But we got, let's see, 8 people in the room. Be sure to visit the Realms Open Championship page on how to join the Auxxit HeroClix Cafe. The live auction starts in about 32 minutes. So, pretty excited about that. Let's see if they've got the live stuff up yet. I don't have a preview of the live items yet, but all of the uncommons are up. Some pretty sweet uncommons. We also got our Black Widow today, and thankful to report that my case of Black Widow included the entire set, as should all movie sets do. I've been asked the question a couple times. For Chase Widow, how many do you need of each? So you can make a Widow's Initiate or Widow Recruit. So I think ideally the Widow Recruit, you need 5 of those just because you have 5 trade cash tokens. The Widow's Initiate I think is fine, but probably only really have to have 2 or 3 of her. Maybe even just 1. I think the instances where you'll use a 10 attack, 2 damage, close combat expert piece are fairly low. Short of having some sort of Alpha Strike team with Black Widow and Duke and something along those lines, to where the Widow's Initiate is going to be super powerful with like a 13 attack and
4 damage and 5 damage. But the Widow's Recruit being 10 for 3 with penetrating poison, you probably want to go ahead and get 5 of them for that rare instance to where you'll need that many. So swipe right towards the left to see the auction items. Okay. Oh, there they are. So we got Superman team up card. Got it. All right. Thanks and Sipit from the Auxxit crew. So we've got Superman team up cards, Batman primes. They're all starting at 99 cents. The Atom super rare, Shade rare, Martian Manhunter, Stripe. The guy that I was talking about needing. I might be bidding against you guys for this stuff. A Mazo rare, the Parasite prime, Stargirl, Warhawk, all kinds of stuff. Oh man, I got a Micron in here, the Ultra Humanite. He's the cheapest in Justice League guy to give out tokens. I like him a lot. Loki the Trickster. Ask, rank the new chases from best to worst. I think the only real fair way to do that is to rank the causing trouble versus trouble alerts separately, because I think with 9 spaces on a 300 modern team, you're only going to use them in certain situations. Now, main force. We'll talk a little bit about main force. And probably only a couple of them are really main forceable. The Wonder Twins on a Justice League theme, because they do have barrier printed, 25-point barrier, Justice League, or even on non-theme, or even on non-theme. They really make a lot of sense. They're pretty terrible as attackers. Everybody gets +2 defense, but they can use Close Combat Expert. So, 10 for 3 for 25 points. Dark Phoenix is 11 for 3 with 10 range and heals. So, as an attacker, I might disagree, but for 6 clicks at 25 points, their longevity is great. I would say probably at the top of the list is Wonder Twins on the main force. And then, Gorilla Grodd as main force, being able to leap climb, mind control is pretty phenomenal. And then he's got the Revenge on Gorilla City. He can deal them potentially penetrating damage, so it's a good Black Widow counter. You can give him an action token or penetrating damage. That's a good way to deal the Widows, and maybe even Captain Marvel if she's in hindering terrain, some penetrating damage. So I like Grodd. I like the Wonder Twins on the main force. And I don't. So Brainiac is good on the main force, just as filler. 10-point outwit is phenomenal. But it's hard to say, right, how much filler you need on some of these teams now. With Black Widow and the double Marvels running everything. But a 10-point outwit, in cap, triple target. Brainiac super playable main force, but probably third on the list, more as filler. Lex Luthor at 10-point enhancement is playable as filler on Scientist or even on the Injustice League teams. Samurai, Black Vulcan, Green Arrow, Black Manta, probably not playable on the main force most realistically. Now, on the sideline, top of the list for Super Friends, I think Black Vulcan supplanted Firestorm. They both have energy explosions. Black Vulcan's is penetrating poison, potential to reroll super senses down dial. His weakness is not too bad with barrier or smoke cloud, just modifying defense +2. Not too terrible of a weakness. Because likely your barrier smoke cloud pieces aren't that great at attacking, potentially. And his thing comes in and says when attacking only Black Vulcan. So if you look at the other Super Friends from Batman, they have that as well. So if you look at the rest of them, so Black Vulcan definitely rises to the top. Now, Green Arrow rises to the top of Jason Pogs, because bringing out Gulliver as an outwit Pog is great. And then, you don't want to probably use it on a team with equips because they can not be able to use those effects. Grodd as a Let's Cause Trouble is really, really good. I seen him change a game last night. It was great. Lex as a Let's Cause Trouble, a little bit lower than Grodd. Black Manta, probably lower than that. I think that's all of the Let's Cause Troubles right now. So lots of benefits for hitting. Black Vulcan supplants Firestorm. Samurai, just having poison is good. And then his TK power here. So when he uses Force Blast or Telekinesis after resolutions, choose a character that was placed by that power and roll a d6. Knocking back places characters, you may give them a remove or give them an action token. So a little bit situational, but having charge, exploit, and poison is going to be super powerful. I don't think you're bringing out the Wonder Twins as your trouble alert. Probably not. But that is my ranking of the new chases. And I know on the next recorded podcast that we have, we're going to go ahead and rank all of the chases, all of the sideline Super Friends in Let's Cause Troubles, top to bottom. So look forward to that on to the next full Clickstuff podcast. Still taking a few more questions. Let's see, any questions on Facebook? There is not. We do have 9 people watching, so that's pretty exciting. We've talked a lot about Justice League. Thankful that it is out finally. Talked about my team. I've been playing online. Greedo Juice, we talked about that a little bit earlier in the podcast. Parasite's probably the worst prime in the set. Not one of my favorites unless you have a specific built team around him to use. So, let's see what else we got going on here. Nice to see all of the trades going up for the new set. Folks getting in some trades. All right. So I've gotten a few other questions about, I wanted to highlight for the next topic, I wanted to highlight a few of the maps on gamer mats. Some folks had asked me which ones I had bought. These are all
available, and some of these are they were current on sale. Yeah, they're on sale right now. I wanted to highlight a couple of them. The rock bounty hanger. This on the right side of the map is unoccupiable blocking terrain. And so any map that cuts down the amount of playable squares is going to be playable, just inherently so. The research outpost, I like it because it's got walls, it's got elevated. It's a really great looking map. I believe it is all outdoor, but this one has some very restrictive lines of fire and lines of movement, which can be really great for your approach. Of course, there's a new King's Tomb variant. I picked that one up just because I like the green thing, the green pools of whatever in the corner. That's super neat. But I have the regular version of the map myself. Backyard Wrestling. I like this one. This was pretty close to the PAL Farm. Just the two things of elevated, and then a fairly wide open map from there. The Pit Fight. I like this one in that it only has the two squares are elevated, much like Backyard Wrestling. That one is really wide open, not a lot of places to hide, but you got to be able to take advantage of the really far lines of fire. The Assassin's Alley, that's an old school map that has come back. I like that one a lot. I liked it originally. Lots of elevation changes to think about. The ability to go up and down these elevations, firing across, a little bit of blocking. The lines of fire can get weird on this map, and you can take advantage of it if you've got if you're well prepared for which lines to take. And then the campsites, the last one I wanted to talk about specifically. It is fairly close to Strange Day at the Park if you're playing in a non-rock event, with just a little bit of blocking on each side of the map. This map is super wide open and pretty much nowhere to hide if you're playing like a prime Batman team, or anything that can take advantage of the super wide open lines of fire. I think this map is very phenomenal, and it's on sale to pick up. But I had gotten some questions about that, as far as some things to play, what maps that I pick up duplicates of, because Sam is planning on getting back into competitive play for Worlds, assuming that we get to have Worlds in October. Planning on Sam getting back in, and picked her up a couple of duplicates of these maps as well. So, let's see. Let's check for any new questions. Got about 17 more minutes. So let's see. 80 items will be deleted and 10 items remaining. Howard's got some new items up. He's got a Chase Black Vulcan now. Ooh. Definitely, I think you need 2 of those Black Vulcans. So looking forward to that. 16 minutes and 30 seconds. See any comments or questions on YouTube? None at the moment. So check out the gamer mats for all of the rock maps. Now I don't think we've seen the new map from the OP map from Justice League yet. At least it's not on here. So the new Justice League starter maps are all great. Lots of variety in these new maps. This map, I've seen the Doom Castle with the leadership map bonus. Allows you to re-roll it. That's a pretty powerful map for pacing on your teams. And then we've seen the Reed's Lab to be able to get the plus to stats in each of the little orange squares. So I like that one quite a bit. If you haven't picked up a WWE Series 1 starter, War Games is also a great wide open map with only the squares of blocking here and here. Hard to build. Actually, it's pretty good to build blocking from your starting because you go 1, 2, 3, 4 and get a pretty good cove to land in. But also WWE Arena has no blocking on it, just depending on what you're looking, but it is indoor, so that's one thing to think about. It is indoor, so you can't, if they bury you, you can't shoot their colossals. So an outdoor wide open map is going to be one of your best choices to add. And we did get a YouTube question. Let's see what that is. Who can approve my request to join the Auxxit group? I think they're listening in, so they should approve you here shortly, Cameron. So just give them a couple more minutes. Let's see. So just a couple things here in the comments. Please note some differences as Apple runs multiple items simultaneously. If an item gets a bid in the last 60 seconds, that item will only extend for 60 seconds, so there's no need to time your last bid. Please note there is a minimum bid increase of 25 cents and a maximum bid increase of $10. So yeah, hopefully they get you in here soon, Cameron. So we've got 10 people in the room, 13 minutes to the event. Pretty excited. I'm looking forward to seeing how this works. Maps, new set. Man, we've covered a lot. Don't forget to check out the Lucky Dice Cafe store. They've got the Mix Max Challenge starter and the other starter up here. They also have a huge online, just everything on sale. Magic, if you play that. The Rock stuff. The Rock website has up a bunch of the online events. This is probably a good time to talk about Rock Online. Check out the Rock Online Facebook group. They are hosting weekly events, bi-weekly events during this quarantine. So been lots of good participation, lots of good teams there. So let's see if we have any other questions right now. We are in Central Time Zone. For those who are wondering about the 6 o'clock start. So about 12 more minutes left. I would love some more questions. See if we get any other questions here. Let me peruse some of the Facebook stuff here, see if there's anything going on. So maybe talk about a little bit of some of the interesting teams that I've seen in the Heroes Throwdown. There's a couple of unthemed teams that I like. The biggest one that's pretty scary is the unthemed team of Estebans that I've played against before with Batman. He's no theme Immortal Hulk. So he's got Magneto, Sinister, 25-point Magneto, Immortal Hulk, Ace, Iron Avengers Assemble, Arms, Liar, Influence. And that team just gets really scary, and that it's hard to get points out of. And it can do a lot of damage, and Immortal Hulk can get a lot of charge tokens built up. Now, Ace. A lot of people think that Ace is top 5. I think she's about 6th or 7th as far as best pieces in the set. With so many of the theme teams being named, you have a pretty good chance to be able to take her out by using named theme team probs. So, it's one of those things. Like, her barrier's good, her shape change is good, his prob is good. Lots of good things built into a piece. But with having a named theme team, I think I'm in pretty good shape. But I'm looking forward to playing Esteban tomorrow and seeing what we can do. I like that team. And the other team that we've been talking about, I'll give a shout out to not Esteban. I just gave Hozafa with his no theme Jason Weingard. It's got Jason Weingard, the Micron, Adam, Medusa, Duke Thomas, Wendigo, Dark Phoenix. So just a really great team. That's Alpha Strike. And his sideline, he's got Isaac Stegron, Captain Marvel. So just being able to pop out another Pog for Duke and another Perplex and, the Stegron that can just attack really well. I mean, man, it just gets really hard to deal with if you let that team get in your face. So big shout out to Hozafa there. And I apologize if I say your name. We talked about McConnell's team a little bit earlier in the day, a little bit earlier in the stream. I really like his X-Men team. Now, unfortunately, I think a lot of these teams died of Batman, but we're not seeing a lot of Batman right now. So it seems like we're kind of experimenting somewhat in the meta. Let me pull up the Auxxit app. Loki to Tristrax, where's Theo at? I've had a pretty quiet podcast. Given that I'm going to be working from home a little bit longer, I went ahead and cleaned out one of our other rooms in the house and moved my office in there, so I'm able to have a completely sealed off space to do the podcast and the streams and the work and to my work. So I'm able to close the door, and so Theo won't be making as much background noise, unfortunately, Chad. So Chris Kiley asks, is it possible to build exclusively in the Batman set? What if I only have animated Batman to build with? I think you can pick up a lot of pieces here, especially in this Auxxit auction from the new set, and get you some other things to build with, like Question and Superman, Rare, and get the starter. But Batman Animated had a bunch of great pieces to build with. I think you've got to. Let me pull up rounds real quick. Too far. BTAS. So if you have the complete set, anything that you could add the Venom harness to, I like that one a lot. I also like Baby Doll, and you can pick up. Now I've talked about Baby Doll. I get a lot of people don't understand why I like Baby Doll. I like Baby Doll with the super rare Daredevil from Earth X because it's possible that she can have lots of Perplex. Because her and her kindred spirit are on the same clip, they can use Perplex. but when she's on a different click than or the same click, they can use Outwit, but on a different click they can use Perplex. So you're allowing some of these pieces to hit super hard. And she's got the Mastermind, or no, Shape Change on a 3 through 6. She's got Mastermind that gets around super senses with a 10 attack and Perplex. Now it's Sidestep for range, but she's tiny. She's 17 defense. With the good super senses. I'm sorry, the good Shape Change. But a couple of pieces to probably pick up, Chris. Some of the WWE pieces. And again, I talked about the Daredevil from Earth X would be a good pickup. And then if they have it in the Auxxit auction tonight, I would pick up as many of the Joker clones as you can get. Joker plus his trait to generate more Jokers. That's great mastermind fodder for Baby Doll. So that's what I would pick up. I would look at picking up some of these other pieces. Batman Animated Series is a great set, Chris. But you can pick up a few other things cheap to augment it pretty easily. And you're very welcome. All right, 4 minutes out from the auction. Let me check anything in here. Emperor Joker. Let's see. And one of your so let me ask with Mr. Carl's question. You mentioned Regent on a scientist theme. Oh man, so I like Regent just because he can get past all of the targeting situations. So he can choose the good targeting that just goes through walls. So Sidestep, 8 range. I think you might be able to get a high enough theme between Cadmus Lab Scientist, Brainiacs, and Lex Luthor's. So he'd be going 10 for 6 with the Lexes. And then maybe a 13 attack with a pretty good amount of range. But it just comes down to it's kind of a one-trick pony. And you're putting all your eggs in the Regent basket. If you include Regent in the Spider-Man, I don't know. It just depends. It's really hard to say because Regent's so squishy at 100, and he's just way too many points at 240 to be effective, I think. Now, maybe if he was like 190, maybe lop off a click in the middle, right? Give me about 190, 210, and I think you can include enough other stuff in the middle to make it happen. But I do like Regent. I just wish maybe he was a little bit better. Emperor Joker, Aaron Constantine, Morgan, now that Doombots share a keyword with Doom and robots, do you think some will see play? So the Pogs don't add to themes, so there is some keyword related effects that might have some playability. But I think the Pogs were always playable. Let's look at the errata today. We've got just about another 2 minutes. Let's look at Win.Wiz Kids and look at the new errata on the Doombots. More WizKids Rules Forum. First 10 is up, so this will be my last thing to talk about. WizKids errata and clarifications. Modern Age. Go to the third page. So Doombots, Latveria, robot keywords. Since they don't add to theme, but they do have keyword related effects. I think the Doombots were fine, great beforehand. Latverian Engineer is a fantastic Pog. Might need 2 each of those. So with that, I appreciate everyone listening to the live podcast today as I kind of rambled on about some things. Super excited for the new set. Super excited for this Auxxit auction. For those in the room, the first items are live and happy bidding. Y'all have a fantastic evening. Thanks for listening to Clicksoft. Check out Auxxit and Lucky Dice Cafe. Y'all have a wonderful night.